Hi, my name is Damian Eversman, and I'm Chief Architect for Education at Red Hat. You might know me from such hits as Red Hat Summit Connect, Ansible Automates, or various Red Hat webinars. Today, I'd like to show you how some Red Hat solutions can help you achieve compliance as code. First, I'd like to start off by showing you Red Hat Satellite. Satellite is an application that can help you manage your RHEL estate. If you have a lot of Red Hat Enterprise Linux, Satellite is a tool for you. Let's do a quick tour through the Satellite interface. Down the left-hand side of the interface is a menu full of all sorts of different functionality, and we're only going to cover a small portion of it today. First, you see the dashboard that I've got right now that is configurable and can contain a lot of different information that you set up. One of the biggest benefits of Satellite is the ability to control the content that different RHEL systems can see. This is done through things that are called content views. A content view is simply a collection of various RPM repositories that you control what the different systems that are subscribed into your Satellite can see. Systems can subscribe into Satellite either manually or using things like activation keys. These content views are also not static. They're controlled through things called lifecycle environment paths. You can version these different content views. So you can have a version that is production, that is tried, tested, and true versions of libraries that you want available on systems. And then you can have a newer version that has somewhat more tested environments, but is going through testing. And then you can have the wild, wild west of libraries in a development environment, or any number of different configuration changes. And you can promote changes up through these different levels. In addition to lifecycle environments and content views, you're also able to have your own different packaging types, repositories, and that sort of thing. In my instance, I actually have several hosts that are subscribed into my Satellite. You see here I have Node 1 and Node 2, as well as the Satellite system. From within these systems, I can also do some interesting things around compliance, which is what we're talking about today. I can set up certain policies within compliance. You see I have two here, PCI and STIG. We'll go ahead and drill into the PCI compliance. These different compliance policies are actually built upon base compliance policies that come as part of Red Hat Satellite. In this case, I am choosing various SCAP content based on the RHEL system. And from within that, I can apply a profile. Like I said, I've got PCI DSS here, but I can also apply all sorts of different ones, whether it's NIST or VPP for Red Hat virtualization, other corporate profiles, DISA-STIGs, and on top of that, if I have various changes that I've made to those profiles, I can develop and apply a tailoring file. So from within those compliance profiles now, I can actually apply those to different groups of hosts in my systems. And in fact, you can see as we go and look at the hosts that I've got here, there are some recommendations for these systems. If I drill in, I can see that various recommendations are being made about these systems, changes that are made, or rather that need to be applied. You'll see, of course, that I'm using RHEL 7 systems here. You don't want to use RHEL 7 systems. RHEL 7 is no longer under support. I'm simply using these systems because they have problems with them that can be identified by Satellite. So I've already showed you how I can set up different compliance profiles within Satellite. So what's next? Well, if I bring in the next tool in our tool belt, Ansible Automation Platform, and I log in here, I can automate any number of things with Ansible Automation Platform. Ansible Automation Platform gives you the capability to interact with not only RHEL systems, but also network systems, Windows systems, storage devices, applications, services, you name it. They can almost all be automated through Ansible Automation Platform. But in this case, we're actually looking at RHEL systems. From within Ansible Automation Platform, I have quite a number of functionalities here, and I'm only going to be diving into the automation controller piece. Within the automation controller piece, I set up job templates. What a job template is simply a way to take a playbook that is written in Ansible and set it up so that it can be scheduled or run within Ansible Automation Controller. In addition to that, I have projects which go out and pull those playbooks, those collections of playbooks out of various source code repositories or things like Insights. And I have the ability to actually look at the things like my inventories and the hosts that I have within my inventories. In addition to that, I can do things like store credentials that can be used by different people that are executing this automation without necessarily having the access to those credentials themselves. Things like root login passwords and those sorts of things can be stored within the system, and people can be given access to use those as part of their automation without actually ever being able to log into those systems manually themselves. So if we go in and we look at the templates that I've got set up, one of the templates that I've got set up is actually an OpenSCAP scan. This is a relatively straightforward playbook that I've written and put into Ansible Automation Platform. And here you see I'm selecting things like PCI compliance and STIG compliance, and I'm running it against an inventory group. If I launch this template, it'll actually go and scan those systems that I was showing you before in Satellite. But in this case, I'm not going to do that because that takes about 5 to 8 minutes to run, and we don't have time for that in the demo. But if I were to execute that job, it would go through and create full-blown reports within Satellite. So we can go back into Satellite here, we can drill down into the hosts and into compliance, and we can see reports. These are the reports that were triggered by that job that I showed you in Satellite, which can be scheduled and run on a regular basis. And these reports can go through each and every host that I have loaded within Satellite and run full reports. If I dig into the reports here, I can actually see that they're going to give me a lot of information about that particular node and how it adheres to or deviates from the various policies that I have set up. The first thing we see here is the header of the OpenSCAP report. It tells me a little bit about OpenSCAP and the systems that I'm actually running it against here. It tells me the various characteristics and criteria that I've run against here. So it tells me in this case that I was running against node 1. It tells me the profile that I was using is the STIG profile. And then it gives me sort of an overview dashboard of the things that have happened, what passed, what failed, and then of the failed rules, what the severities look like. I can drill into this report in various ways. I can turn off different things, like if I'm not interested in seeing anything except for the fails, I can actually do that, and then I'll see all of the various failed things. If I want to drill into a particular failed element, a failed rule, I can see the specific naming of that rule, when it was run and failed, what the severity of that rule is, some references like the DISA reference or various other profiles that it applies to. And in most cases, I can see a snippet for remediation. In this case, I can drill in and I can see that there's a very simple, straightforward Ansible snippet here that I can copy and paste and put into any playbook that I might run to actually remediate this and other issues. Of course, as you can see here, copying and pasting this into a playbook is not the most exciting thing. And that's where the third tool comes in. I can go over now and I can look at Red Hat Insights. Red Hat Insights is an online system, although now it is also available as an on-premise system, that comes as part of your RHEL subscription. You can subscribe different systems to Insights, and it will actually go through and proactively show you not only CVEs and exploits that are known on that system, but also other proactive configuration changes that might need to be made. I can go in and I can look at the inventory of various systems that I've got subscribed into Insights, and I can drill in and see the different things that are available to be done. In this case, I'm drilling into node 1 here, and we see that we get a lot of information about that system, as well as advice from the advisor about different things that are not necessarily CVEs or vulnerabilities, right? This is just different proactive things from Red Hat's vast knowledge base that might apply to my particular situation. In addition to looking at these various things from the advisor, I can also drill into the security vulnerabilities that exist on all of the systems that I have within my Insights console, and I can see different issues that are available. Here you see I've got a lot of vulnerabilities that are listed for my various systems. We can go ahead and look at ones that apply to different versions of the OS here. For instance, again, I'm looking at RHEL 7 and I see that I've got a lot of very important CVEs that apply to some of my systems. I can drill into those CVEs and I can see what systems they apply to. And on top of that, I've got this button here that says Plan Remediation. So I can pick the multiple systems that I've got, click on Plan Remediation, and I can either create or add to an existing playbook. In this case, I can add to an existing playbook that I might have started here, click on Remediation, click Next, and we can see that it's going to go through and actually take the systems that I've got and add those remediations into a playbook. It'll even warn me about things like system reboots and that sort of thing that are needed to be done. When I click Submit, it goes through and adds those things to a playbook. But where is that playbook, you might ask? Well, that playbook is actually part of my Insights profile. And if I can go back into Ansible Automation Platform, I can see that one of the projects that I currently have is actually an Insights project. Within that Insights project are all of the various playbooks that are generated by Insights for my systems. What's exciting about these is, unlike the snippets that I was pulling from Satellite that are just generic snippets for actually patching systems, these come out of my Insights console, which means they know they have the full naming of the systems that I've got and everything very specifically tied to those systems. So the playbooks that are loaded into this Insights project are actually playbooks that remediate things based on my specific inventories. And I can go into job templates here and I can see that I've got various CVE remediations already set up. And I can go in and set up any one of those to run against various inventories and environments that I've got. And when I run those, they will actually run the remediation that Insights recommended against systems within my inventory. The most exciting thing about those is that I didn't have to go through and author those playbooks. I didn't have to cut and paste inventories. I didn't have to pull information out of different things and put them into a playbook and commit them and then run them. This was generated automatically by Insights and loaded into a project within my Ansible Automation Platform, which I can then actually schedule to automatically go through the process of running and remediating each of those issues that I've seen. So what we've got now is the capability to take all of the information that is automatically being detected from within Insights, all of the different compliance issues that I've got, and they can automatically be remediated by running playbooks that were automatically generated with Insights. So you can see here, it went through the entire process of building out and rebooting that system if necessary. Using tools like Satellite, Ansible Automation Platform, and Insights, I can achieve compliance as code, a minimal amount of interaction required from me, the administrator, and a minimal amount of coding required by me, the administrator, and all of it can be scheduled and done automatically. Thanks for watching.